The Houston Texans bring the NFL's best record to Nashville on Sunday to take on the Tennessee Titans. Houston's currently installed as a 6-point favorite in this game on BETDAQ. 47 is the total. Now, Houston, as we said, they're 10-1, tied with Atlanta for the best record in the league, but they haven't been playing quite as well recently. They've still been winning games, but their last two wins have both been in overtime, both against losing teams, Detroit and Jacksonville. And in both of those games, their defense played poorly. They allowed 37 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars, turned around and allowed 31 to the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving. This is a defense that all season has been in the top 5 in the NFL in points allowed. As a matter of fact, they're still 5th in points allowed, despite allowing a whole lot of points their last two games. Now, what's wrong with this defense? How do you explain it? I mean, before the Jacksonville game, there didn't even appear to be any cracks. Remember, we saw them in that Chicago game in the elements in that primetime game a few weeks ago, just beat up the Chicago Bears. Of course, I guess in that weather, it would have been tough for any offense to do much. But still, Houston has looked good on defense throughout the year. And it seemed like in that Jacksonville game, they just spontaneously turned into a bad defense, especially in the secondary. Chad Henne, Jacksonville's backup quarterback, or starting quarterback now, backup then, just shredded the Houston defense. And that continued right over to last week. Now, last week might be a little bit of a different story. The Detroit Lions offense leads the NFL in pass yards per game, so I guess that's a little more understandable than the meltdown against Jacksonville. Still, though, it's surprising to see a defense that you think of as one of the best defenses in the NFL look so bad in back-to-back weeks. And here they are on the road this week against a division opponent laying nearly a touchdown. Now, Tennessee, they lost to Jacksonville last week. That was a bad loss. If they had won that game, they'd still be alive in the AFC playoff race. I guess mathematically they still are alive at 4-7. But if they'd have won that game last week to go 5-6, they would have really had a fighting chance. Remember, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, who are both 6-5 right now, are tied for the final wild card spot in the AFC. The Titans did not do it, though. They were not able to beat Jacksonville. The Jags were able to get their first home win of the season. And listen, Tennessee's a bad team. I don't think this is a team that even if they'd beaten Jacksonville last week, I don't expect this team, I don't think they would have made a playoff run. They've lost 7 games. 5 of their losses have been by 21 points or more. They get blown out all the time. They have one of the worst defenses in the entire NFL, 29th in the league in yards allowed, 31st in points allowed. And their offense, well, I guess statistically it's average. You know, I don't think Jake Locker does not throw the ball as well as Matt Hasselbeck at this point in their respective careers. That can't be argued. Now, Jake Locker runs a lot better, certainly, and you could say Matt Hasselbeck is old and he's past his best days. That's probably true. Jake Locker's best days are still ahead of him. That's probably also true. But as far as this game on Sunday goes, Hasselbeck, I believe, gives the Titans a better chance to win. He will not be playing. Jake Locker will be playing in this game. Will Jake Locker be able to carve up the Texans secondary the same way Matt Stafford and Chad Henne have been able to do the last 2 weeks? To be honest with you, I don't have much confidence. I don't have much confidence in the Titans in this spot. I've heard a lot of people making the case for Tennessee this week, noticing that Houston's defense has been slipping here the last couple of weeks, pointing out that Houston, this could be a trap game for the Texans. They're just coming off a big primetime game or a big nationally televised game on Thanksgiving against the Lions. And after this week, their next game is on the road in New England, which is a huge game. It's going to have all sorts of ramifications, home field advantage in the AFC and everything else. So this could be sort of a letdown spot for Houston. If they're overlooking Tennessee and looking towards that New England game next week, that could be problematic. But really, if you're looking at the Tennessee side here, trying to make a Tennessee argument, it feels like to me you're just overcomplicating things. Houston is the better team. I know they're on the road. I know their defense has struggled the last couple of weeks. I know their last couple of opponents who have both had losing records have taken them to overtime. Still, I like the Texans' chances on the road in Tennessee this week, unless something flukish happens, like the Texans coming out flat because they're overlooking Tennessee, looking ahead to New England next week. I don't anticipate that happening. This is a well-coached team. Gary Kubiak does a good job getting these guys ready to play. They're playing a division opponent. I don't think they're going to be overlooking the Tennessee Titans. I like the Houston Texans to win this game, and I think they're going to win it by more than 6.